Everyone, today's the 29th of April. It is Tuesday. This is Brad Matheny, and this is the chart that I ended my last video on. Gambling is not trading. Trying to teach you to think about how to trade more efficiently and more effectively. Now, we're going to move over to, I think, this chart, and this will work. This is the chart that I had used in the Gambling is Not Trading video to show you price cycles. And what we are going to do is eliminate everything and start over. I did want to highlight something that I thought was really cool. One of my friends and subscribers shared this information with me. Look at this. Isn't this cool? Apparently, OpenAI, she took my video of Gambling is Not Trading, and I guess OpenAI created this image for me or for her. And I love how it tried to mimic my drawings and my squiggles and my lines, my Fibonacci levels. And I guess this is me. Who the hell knows? But anyway, long and short of it, I think this is cool. Kind of a Picasso-esque type of drawing. And anyway, I'm just it's cool. In my opinion, it's cool. I like it. And you never know. Maybe I'm gonna be remembered after all these years of quiet study. Maybe my legacy is just keep teaching people. So today we're looking at a breakaway pattern in carryover trend. Make sure this is today. Yes. We're back into bullish trending. We are into bullish weekly bias, bearish daily bias. We are really, struggling up here near this high. So, where we're at, as I mentioned to you before, we're kind of in this. I'm going to redraw 50% level. You can see right here, this 50% level, and we're right in that area right here, trying to struggle out of this zone. We are at new highs. We are weakening. We are kind of setting up that early stage cradle pattern, which is here, 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 here. That would be the cradle pattern. And again, when we look at this level here, from here to here, you can see that we are above the 618 level, near the 75% level. So again, we're outside of that range. We're technically quite bullish. You can say that essentially, just like I suggested earlier, above this 535 to roughly 520 area, this is kind of the range that I would suggest is bullish above and bearish below. So let me set that up. So again, guys, we're kind of, there it goes. Took a little while to change. Bullish above this level, bearish below this level. And we're stuck in that mode. Now, what I do believe is likely coming into our breakdown mode here. And let me just mark this over here, mark this over here. Is I think we're moving into that breakdown. I think the closer we get here to the May 2nd time frame is moving us into, that kind of a breakdown mode. Now, you can clearly see that we have this gap that's staying open from basically here to here. And then we have the secondary gap down here. And it would make sense to me that, if we get that May 2nd through 5th breakdown, kind of down here into this area, targeting maybe this 510 to 550 area, Wednesday, April, May 5th. So kind of in this area. okay, then, it makes sense that we're going to possibly see some sort of a breakdown up into this gapping area, below this, and then below this into these lows. So that's what I'm looking at as a breakdown mode potentially in the SPY. I'm not really expecting the SPY to try to break below this 480, 490 area. I don't think we're going to get down into this extreme low. We could, but just really filling this gap, trying to break this low here makes a lot of sense to me, in the sense that we would have a new breakaway low, which would qualify as a breakdown of trend. This would completely invalidate this upward move. We would have broken down below this standout low right here, and we would have broken below this standout low right here, and come down below this unique low, which would put us into a bearish trend at this point. Breaking below these levels puts us into a short-term bearish trend. So I'll highlight that here with a down arrow. This puts us into a short-term bearish trend. And I should highlight these levels, which are almost the same. This would throw us into a short-term bearish trend as well. We have these lows right around 540 and 543. Sorry, 544, 545, 543. Getting below these levels here would move us into bearish trending as well. Okay. So, and again, this is the little cradle pattern setting up. Remember, the cradle pattern moves up into consolidation like this, or can move up into consolidation like this, or can move up into consolidation like that. So it can be either a flag, or a downward flag, or an upward flag. What we're really looking for is that flagging like this. So basically that peak, trough, peak, coming down here into a trough. And you can see here we have the peak, trough, peak, moving possibly back down into a trough. What we would be looking for is the breakdown of this level, or of this level, or of this level. So basically it's a breakaway type of a pattern. Okay, so at this point, we would be looking for a move above here, or a move below basically here as a breakdown. Get rid of some of these. Try to keep my time within reason. Okay, so the pattern today is a breakaway in carryover. We are in bullish. We are in explosive trending. We do move into a carryover pattern tomorrow in trend mode. We move into that major crush in that bottom pattern on Thursday. I'm really looking forward to see if we break down. I'm sorry, it's very early over here. Only 4:15 in the morning. So I'm looking for this breakdown. If we can get below this 543.50 area, I think we move cleanly down into this area. But we need to kind of see how this is going to play out, and see if we get this breakdown as I'm expecting, or if it just never shows up. Like I told you, we're in this 50% area. We're kind of neutral. The reality is here, this is the bigger 50% area right here. We're in this kind of neutral trending. This is a real battle zone for the market, and we could see some wild volatility here. But ultimately, my pattern suggests that we're going to move down, down below the 525, 520 area. I think we're going to move into the 500, 505 area as a low. That's what my analysis suggests we're going to see, because we have the unique low here. We've broken above this low here. Failure to get any higher would mean we would try to take out this low down here. Okay, QQQ, same type of setup. Looks like Okay, we have it set up over here. Same type of a move here. You can see the excess phase peak pattern. You can see the cradling pattern. So, we have this breakdown mode into flagging, which has rallied back up above that flagging high. So we're getting into that consolidation mode. If we reject and get below this level, back down here, this would not necessarily be considered invalidation. We would have to get below this level as invalidation to continue a major downtrend. But, this can consolidate back into this level. This is Fibonacci and price structure setting up quite efficiently. So we'll see how this plays out. But ultimately, we have those same gaps here, and we have that little gap right here. So again, if we do get that breakdown, we're going to close below those gaps and come into this low area, trying to set up that deep low of my May major bottom. And again, it comes back into play here with this bottom and this major crush pattern, potentially with this gap reversal setting up on the 5th and gap potential, gap breakaway. We could see a pretty big breakdown taking place over the next 3, 4, 5, 6 days. We'll see. We'll see what news comes. We'll see what happens and go from there. Okay, gold and silver are a little bit flat looking at that topping pattern. Now, are we going to get up into this 3360, 3380 area again? Maybe a little higher. I don't know. Silver's quite a bit higher, back up to 3360. Now, remember, we had to roll over the silver futures contract yesterday, so this is now out to the May contract. Gold could move up back up into the 3360, 3380 area. This is where I had drawn the top yesterday. The gold cycle pattern is a bottoming pattern in counter trend mode. A bottoming pattern in counter trend mode is essentially a top, another top. So, you'd be looking for some sort of an upward move, kind of like that. And you can see what we've got here, some sort of an upward move, maybe like that in silver. So a bottom in counter trend mode, think of counter trend mode as basically an inverted type of a pattern. Okay, so we'll see how it plays out for gold and silver. Really looking for gold to try to make the move up above this 3,400 area. That would be a very healthy move. And silver and gold staying above that 3,300 area. So, really loving staying above this level here. 3,300 for gold and 33 for silver. Staying above that level, in my opinion, is critical for the psychological advance of metals. It really is a big psychological number, 3,300 or $33. The alignment here is pretty good. It is a big number as far as I'm concerned, based on my Japanese candlestick teaching, and we'll see how it plays out. Okay, lastly, we'll come over here to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is hovering around, flatlining. This is hourly. Let's come in here and get this into shape. Come back over here to daily. And as I'd mentioned to you guys, we need to continue to see this pull to the upside if we're going to get this invalidation. We really have to get above this level here to really get above invalidation. So, um, in other words, until we get above this 108 level, we're just chopping around. Now, I will tell you that this has been bullish. We are weakening. You can see the weakening in trend. And you can see here that we've kind of got this low here. In other words, this would be our ultimate low, and this would be our breakdown level. We're pulling up. It would make sense to me at this point, off of this extreme low, that we would be looking for flagging. So after this big move here to the upside, we would probably be looking for flagging to come down in this area. I think that's a pretty solid expectation of a potential excess phase peak pattern setup. And again, being around this resistance area here for flagging makes sense to me. Why does it make sense that price would stall in this area and potentially flag back down? Because this has been historical support and or a historical flagging consolidation zone. You can see we've rejected here, we rejected over here, rejected here, rejected here, rejected back up here and here. To me, it makes sense that we're going to find some rejection here and flag back to the downside here for Bitcoin. We'll see how it plays out though. And this is a pretty interesting setup because we are now widening in volatility. We're widening in this price range. We're back up into this consolidation zone. We need to really see how this plays out. And I'll bet you we're pretty close to a 50% retracement. Let's check it out. Actually above the 50% level. So here's the 50% level, and here's the 618 level. So we are actually above the 50% level, meaning that we are still in that battle zone. This is that battle zone, that 50, really it boils down to the 382, the 50, and the 618 level. This is what I call the battle zone. This is where price goes to when it's trying to change direction or initiate a new trend. And that happens on a pretty solid basis. Fibonacci price theory teaches us that this is essentially the equilibrium of price. So we've established a range, we've moved back into the equilibrium, we're stalling, we are preparing for a new trend. What we can do is you can use the patterns, you can use the setups. We have the same kind of a basic setup here. You can see here's kind of like that cradling pattern. Breakdown, up, breakdown, up. There's that cradling pattern. We kind of got below it briefly, rolled back into support, and now we've gotten above it up here, and we may roll into some resistance. This is that cradling pattern playing out. So you can see how the cradle's set up at this low. Now we would be looking for the similar type of potential cradle pattern here. Let me get rid of this. And we would be looking at something, maybe up, down, kind of like that as a cradle pattern. And that would then indicate that we have this resistance level here to watch, or support level, and this resistance level here. So at this point, I would be watching 92,600 and 95,730. We've got the cradle pattern, we've got the resistance. We're looking for a potential breakdown or break up. And really, this 92,500 level sets as a pretty solid breakdown level. So 92,500. Or 95,750. 95,750 gives you kind of a range for a breakout to the upside or a breakdown to the downside. All right, 19 minutes. So we'll come back over here. Gold was in a bottom formation. We went over that. I will leave you with my new favorite image for the day, and we will go from there. Okay, guys, go get some today. Talk to you later.